joining me. Doing some crankbaits tonight and just finishing up covering the bills. What I like to do on these square bills is take a little piece and then fold it under. Starting on the top side, same thing on the opposite. Take a little piece. We got 4 done, number 5 right here. What I'm going to show you how to do tonight is how I paint lures without an airbrush. I do have an airbrush now. Mom and Dad was gracious enough to give me one for Christmas, but I'm not very good at using it yet. If there's a lot of background noise, I apologize. I've got my propane blower heater going in the background just to knock the chill off in the shop, because the paint does a little better when it's cold. But anyway, once the bills are taped up, it's time to get the first coat on them. And you don't want to put paint directly to the actual lure itself, because it'll have trouble sticking and bonding. So I like to use this flat white 2X primer from Rust-Oleum. It does an excellent job. I've tried several different ones. I prefer to go with the white on them, but you can also use chrome or black. I hope that caught on camera, but there's number 1. It's got its little first base coat on there, and that right there, when it dries, will allow the paint to stick to it. We're going to be doing a few in this pattern tonight, and we're not going to be using an airbrush. I'm going to try to video the whole process. I hope you can learn how I do it, and if you've ever wanted to get started, maybe you'll take that jump and give it a try. I'm going to go ahead and get the white on these other 4, and then I'll be back with you. By the time you get to your next lure, the paint's going to be getting dry enough for you to start on your next coat. Looks like number 3 is ready, and number 4 is just about ready, and number 5 is getting there. So do the same thing on this one. Now what you want to make sure this one comes up almost to the very top. It doesn't have to go on top because there's going to be black on there. But you do want orange because the red, you want it to kind of bleed into the orange. And that's going to give you that crawl effect from red to orange that you like in that color. So the other trick is thin coats. And like I said, these triggers will help with the thin coats. This is number 3. This is number 4, and like I told you, see, that paint's good to go. Didn't require the blow dryer. And if you do get it on top, it's not going to matter. Not going to make any difference. It's just going to be an extra coat of paint up there. Number 5. Got the 5th one painted. And also this orange paint is a gloss, so it'll be a little bit harder to tell because it's not that flat. It's going to dry a little shiny. It's going to have that wet look. Anytime you put a paint on that has that extra gloss, if it's going to be the outside color, I prefer to have that shine on there. So here's number 1, and it's still a little bit tacky, so at this point we're going to go ahead and take it off its hanger. We'll give it a quick shot with the blow dryer. That should be good. Paint's good now. I don't remember exactly which color red I used on that pattern. I got 3. I moved my paint cans the other night, so they're out of order. That'd be a good color, but I think it's a little darker than I want. We're going to go with this satin apple red. Probably wasn't this one because the little ball in there wasn't ready to go. all that good. Now on this color, we're going to start on the top. Then we're just going to tilt it a little bit and make sure some of that overspray comes down the side. And these lures have a lateral line on them. Might be hard to see on the camera. Oop, there's a little white nick in there, but that'll be covered up, it won't matter. But you can see that little lateral line. You want your overspray to just go beyond that just a little bit. Alright. Paint's not spraying right. Looks like there's a little booger up here. We'll get that cleaned off real quick. There we go. Now we should be cooking. I believe I did use that other red the other night. Alright, we're gonna switch over here. We're gonna switch over here to this if you go too far, you can fix it. There's really not a bad way to do this stuff. You don't want to do what I just did though. And set your wet lure down on the table, because then it will peel the paint off. Alright, let's give this a little squirt. That's it. Alright, this step's done, so once you get done with those, then you're almost there. Now we're going to start drying the coats that are on there, and we'll be ready to put the black on the back. So I'll show you that in just a minute. Let me go ahead and blow dry all these where they'll be ready. Alright guys, we're back. Got all 5 of those blow dried, and they're ready for their last coat. So grab number 1. Get him clamped in. Last coat, just going to be a black streak right up to the back, and you want the overspray to go down the sides just a little bit. Paint, it barely even gets the smell in this shop. Alright, so now we're done. Got all 5 of those painted up. So the next step is drying, and I got to get these dry one more time, and I'll show you the final step of paint that we're going to do. So I'll be right back with you. Alright, welcome back. Got all those dried up. I'm going to go ahead and get my paint out of the way. We're done with the painting, but I said this was how to paint without an airbrush, so we're going to go all the way through the whole lure and do it without an airbrush. So the last step, this is acrylic paint marker. I just ordered this set off of Amazon, and I hadn't fooled with trying to make any stencils yet, so I'll have to freehand these, and that's normally what I do. But you want to get your crawl pattern. Now the lure's perfectly good to go just as it is if you wanted to fish it like that. If you wanted to add a little flare, I like to come in just under the gill and start giving it some lines. So you end up with something similar to that. And then what I like to kind of do is go in and start giving it some little dots. Yeah, crawfish aren't smooth. Turn my phone a little bit. Then you end up with your crawfish. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. You know, start kind of right up under the gill. I like to kind of dot my lines out. You don't really see straight lines in nature. It's just my opinion, but I think it gives it a little bit more of a natural look. Just bring those lines up to meet. That black streak down the back. You can make them wide or narrow, however you want the lines to look. It's up to you. Some people think, well, I can't do that. I don't have no imagination. Well, don't try to get you kind of a picture, find you a picture online. But the key to this is do it because you like doing it. Have fun with it. These things become a blank canvas. And once they do that, sometimes the ideas start flowing and you end up coming up with something really cool. And the thing is, you'll have something that your buddy can't go buy in the store. You'll have something that you did by hand. There's that side finished. That's number one. And we're done with the paint. Now normally I'll do all of them that I'm painting before I do this step. This step's kind of a pain. But I'll set these in my clamp here. Kind of get them positioned, and then I'll take these little eyeballs Pop them into place. At this point, your lure's done. Go ahead and remove your paint tape that protected that bill. And there you go. One crankbait ready to hit the water. No, I'm just kidding. He's not ready yet. So I'm going to go ahead and put the patterns on these other four. And then the last step I'll do tonight is go ahead and put them in a finish coat. I don't guess finish is the right word, but I'll go ahead and put them in a protective coat. And then I'll let that sit for 24 hours. And tomorrow night I'll come in and put the final finish coat on them, which is going to be a clear epoxy. And you don't have to do the in-between coat. This is what I use. You just dip the lure down in there, hang it back up, and let it drip. And it'll thin out real nice and smooth, and it'll give your lure a really good look. It'll actually look ready to go right then. But the thing is, this polyurethane's water-based, so it's not going to hold up if you do any fishing with it. It'll last a few weeks maybe, but eventually that's going to wear off, and then your paint's going to wear off. So I like to put it on there. It just makes the lure look so much better when it's finished. But the epoxy is going to be what seals the deal. So I'm going to go ahead and finish these, and then I'll be right back with you and show you the final step that we're going to do tonight. Alright guys, we're to the last step that we're going to do tonight, and that's getting the last coat of clear over the paint. And that's going to be I guess the second to final layer that we're going to do. So brown, I painted number 3 with vertical lines. You know what, I've still got to take the tape off of those last 4, and let me do that, and then we'll get to that. Alright, we're back. We'll go ahead and get the next to final step done. Then we'll be ready to come in here tomorrow night and finish. Now, I like to go in this way. Get it all the way submerged, billing off. let some of that extra run off so you don't have as much waste. I'm looking for my little poker. Sometimes this'll work. Sometimes you might get just a little bit of an air bubble. I don't know if y'all can see that on the camera. I'll just take a little something and bust that bubble. There we go. That bubble ain't wanting to bust. There we go. We'll just move it down to the tail. As you can see, that's already starting to run off. That's going to dry crystal clear. And here in a couple hours, that's going to be a beautiful lure. I like to let that polyurethane cure for 24 hours. You don't have to, but I like to do that before putting the final coat of epoxy on it. Alright, so you can see that one's starting to clear. I see a little bubble on that fin there. I'll just poke that real quick. And then that gets the bubble out. One other tip, don't forget to put the top back on your polyurethane. I've had a couple cans go back because I forgot to do that, and it's best to just throw it away when part of it cures inside there. Alright, we'll be back tomorrow evening to throw the epoxy on them. Appreciate you spending this evening with me. Hey guys, welcome back. I said 24 hours, it's actually been 48 hours. I had to get an order out for a customer last night, so I didn't have a chance to come in and do this video, so we'll get it finished up tonight. I'm not going to go through the final process on the video because that's not part of the painting part, but I do want to show you when we left. We hung the baits and did that last coat over the paint, so I just wanted to come on here tonight and show you how they turned out. Figure out how to do this with 2 hands. As you can see, these dudes are ready to go. So the final step I'll do to them is, you can see where I've done some, I'll mix up some 2-part epoxy and take a brush and go over that clear with that 2-part epoxy, and then it'll set for about 48 hours before I touch them again. And then they'll be ready to put hooks on and go catch some bass. I hope you enjoyed learning how to paint some cool patterns. There's that number 3 I did vertical lines on. I do want to actually, going over these, point something out to you. And if you'll see there where the paint kind of got tight as it was drying, it actually gives the lure a cool effect, but it's not something I did intentionally. That means my paint coat was thick, and probably that second coat of orange, possibly the red, probably the red, didn't get set well enough before I put the black over it, and then I didn't let them cure before I polyurethaned them. So that's what will happen, is that paint will actually tighten up as it cures. And actually, I've done it intentionally on several of my personal lures, because it kind of gives it that lightning effect. And but you can see these lures are good to go. And that's how I paint my crankbaits without the use of an airbrush. Hope you enjoyed that. If you have questions, you can leave them in the comments. I'd appreciate a subscription, as this is a new channel. Never done one before, trying to grow a YouTube channel and getting into all the social media aspects of a small business. It's sometimes hard to find time to do everything, but as I come up with cool things I think you'll like to see, I'll go ahead and try to make videos and post them. But thank you for your time. I know this video is going to be kind of long, but it'll be worth it if this is something you want to learn. So thank you, and we'll see you on the next one.